the FARROP tool is something that has existed for a few years, and there was a recent revision. After that revision, or during that revision actually, it was we started the process of creating some modules to help people actually use the FARROP tool, because it's a great resource, but you'll learn it is a large document. And some of the feedback that we gave when we were first presented with the FARROP tool and actually using it was, this is unwieldy. It is a great tool, has so much information, but this is something that people really need to learn how to use. So our wonderful partnership through FastGas created a resource, and it is these modules that I'm about to tell you about. So the FARROP tool stands for Formative Assessment Rubrics, Reflection, and Observation Protocol, which is why we call it FARROP. And it's a tool that helps people reflect, so there's a self-assessment portion, and give observational feedback in classrooms focused on formative assessment. So you'll see there are a number of different look-fors. People have said it reminds them of Danielson. But there's a self-assessment, a questioning portion, a lot of different information in there for people to use. It was created in partnership with ETS, that is the Educational Testing Service, and FastGas, which is a formative assessment for student teachers, state collaborative around student assessment. And we have been a member since, I believe, 2011. So this is something that is for all FastGas states to use. So a number of other states will be going through this work. Some of them might be joining us in our group as well. And I really saw this as a great next step for FAME schools, a way for teachers to support each other in their learning, continue their learning, really deepen their understanding of the attributes and actions, and to really help further their comfort level as well with having others come and observe their classroom. So how do we use it? The first part is learning. So there are a number of modules that will help guide you through the process. Those modules have video. There's sort of a video analysis portion where you're expected to go through, review, analyze. It's really in-depth, just like the same modules. And then we have a Schoology group set up, which I will show you. You can discuss in the Schoology group. There'll be different strands set up for people to do that. You can meet as a school COP again. You can use whatever online resource you have or tool, learning management system. Whatever works best for you and your school group. This is, again, supposed to be completely customized for the feedback process for you. And the second part is implementing. So we obviously want you to try it out with a colleague, so it's kind of important that at least one other person at your school goes through these modules and looks at them. But we also want feedback, because this is the first year that they are being released and used. They are in the process of creating a facilitator guide for them as well. But this first year, we would love to get feedback, not just on the modules themselves, but really thinking about how this would be integrated. Would it work best in the framework, sort of like duplicative of FAME? So you would have your FAME, newbie cohort as well as your FARROP cohort, or is this something that would be better done individually? So a lot of it will be, how would this be most effective for you? And that means that we might not just come out with one answer, but we're looking for multiple methods and modalities for it. And this is obviously a focus in our state, considering we're continuing the formative assessment work, but also to help really improve that assessment literacy. So if we're looking at teachers eliciting evidence, what are they doing with that evidence? How are they analyzing the data? What kind of conversations are they having? And so that helps to deepen our understanding overall as well. And then how do we get started? So I have here the access code for the Schoology group, which I will also paste in the chat, and it will be emailed out to you if you register. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. So when you go to Schoology, you will, let me log out. You go to Schoology. You have to create an account. Oops, sorry about that, folks. So you'll go to Schoology.com. And you will sign up if you don't already have an account. You will create a student account, and then you'll paste the access code that I've given you. And so I will, again, paste that in the chat, but as you see, whoops, I haven't been showing you guys that. So sorry, thank you for saying I wasn't sharing the screen. It's the end of kind of a long day today. Okay, so let me go back. Thank you, Chris. So you'll go to Schoology.com. You will click on Sign Up. You will go in as student, and then you'll paste the access code that I will send to you. I'm going to go ahead and log in, since I obviously already have an account. Once you create your account, and it would be helpful if you use your school email account just so we can see what schools are, what schools are part of it. But if not, you'll be able to introduce yourself anyway. All right, so you'll go, when you sign in, you'll go to courses, and this is called FARROP for FAME, cohorts 1 and 2. The access code is right here. So again, I will paste that in the chat. You could sign up right now if you wanted to. So when you go in, you'll see the FARROP tools. I know if you, a number of you may have received a copy of it. However, it has been revised. This is the most revised version from February 2016 that is up there. If they come up with another revision, it will replace this one in the Schoology group. So please make sure that you're using the one that is in here. So you can go to FARROP tools, and you see the revised 2016 version. This is also the dimensions at a glance. Utah made this. We're thinking about doing something similar for Maryland, but I wanted to first let you take a look at it, get some feedback. I know in Maryland we love our graphics, so we will probably pretty it up a little bit. But if you go through, you can kind of see the general dimensions at a glance. So it's all 10. And then it has space for reviewing the dimensions, sort of a self-assessment in this version. And you can also look at, as I said, the large version, which you will see. You can look really quickly here, and it goes through what is formative assessment, becoming familiar with the rubrics, and then there's all of the different resources for observation. So there's self-reflection, there's after completing multiple, there's a lot of different tools in there. And then we have the modules resources. This is where you sign up for the modules. So there's a schedule here that shows when they will be released. They are currently, a lot of them are currently in development. So the first sets are actually out, the introduction, the learning goals and criteria for success. However, unlike the FAME modules, you can't get to the next one until you complete the first one, which is pretty fantastic. So once you complete the introduction, then you can move along to the learning goals and criteria for success. And each of those builds upon the next. And so when you sign up for it, you will be able to see that. So this document gives you a brief outline, a quick reference for the training courses. So you have to complete the first one after going to the next. You can complete in any order. However, it would be easiest if everybody goes in the same order so that we have that feedback process going. And there's also a number of different little tips here. You will need to make sure that you turn off pop-up blockers, just like with FAME, because it does pop up in a new window. There are multiple choice questions, constructed response. There are quizzes. There are all these different tools just like you've seen in FAME. And then you can also, there are benchmark videos for norming. And they are trying to find a way to, as you can see on 15, they're trying to find a way to extract student or participant responses. So if you are going through and you're responding to things, I suggest that you keep a document. If you use Google Docs, if you use Microsoft Word Online or Office 365 or something like that, just keep that as a resource because you will not be able to see those responses later. And then at the end, you'll be able to have your transcript and it'll show everything that you've completed. And I'll talk about that part next. And then the last part is actually signing up. So if you go to registration and enrollment directions, you can go in. It tells you how to create your account. And that's simple. Then when you go back to the main part of the course, there's this one chat area, discussion that says introduce yourself. We would love if you would do that. There are a couple different reasons for that. We know that you're in the course. We'd love if you could give us this information so that we know what kinds of teachers are in this, whether we would want to try to create content-alike groups eventually if we have a number of English teachers or fine arts teachers. We also just want this for data gathering to see sort of what kinds of people are interested in continuing this, as well as across the state who's participating, because that's really helpful for us to know. I'm going to stop sharing really quickly and go back to our presentation. So the first step, or the next step, is to sign up for the Schoology group. Get others at your school to join, because obviously it makes more sense the more of you have participating, the more opportunities you have for observing and discussing. Introduce yourself on the site, and the next step is signing up for those modules through Schoology. So you can go to the link, you can sign up for your account, and create a schedule and timeline with colleagues so that you're on sort of the same wavelength. So it's obviously helpful if you've all viewed the module on success criteria if you're going to observe each other on the success criteria portion. And then log your work, so that's keep those responses, that information. We know how long, as you can see, as you saw in the Schoology group, we know how long each module should take. So we know how much time has been spent. It got cut off at the bottom of the slide, unfortunately, but with the professional learning program through MSDE, you're able to log information, and we're working on aligning this to that. So you will be able to go through this process and log that information and be able to work towards CPD credit, but we're not going to be holding it like a typical course. And there will be more information to join, There will be more information for those who have joined. So we're doing all of our communication through that Schoology group. We'll end up bringing you together with some people going through the peer coaching process as well with the FARROP tool. So some of our follow-up webinars will be those together, and we'll have follow-up webinars that will occur through that Schoology group. So the only real requirement is that your school is a Cohort 1 or 2 FAME school, that participants have been through the process before. Without that prior knowledge, none of this will really make sense because it's very specific knowledge, very specific language. And so if there are any questions, if you could type them in the chat box right now, either to just me or the whole group. So I have, will there be credit for this? And I think we've answered that with the professional learning program, the online program. You will be able to log that and gain credit, but we're not doing it as a typical course just because we don't have the manpower for that right now. So the schools that are participating through the peer coaching and received grant funding, you will be interacting with them a bit when we come together for some of our feedback on each module. Every couple of months we'll be going through and gathering feedback and sending out, I guess, basically a survey for you to give us feedback and give your opinion about how you're progressing. Are there any other questions? See a couple different questions about peer coaching. So we're going to be talking about that coming up in a webinar. So we'll discuss that. And I had one question. I'm at a new school that was not part of Cohort 1 and 2. Can I meet up with my old school to do this? I mean, that would make sense to me, but that would obviously be a question for your administrator or the school that you were at previously as well, because there is an element of observing, so that would have to be something that you guys worked out together. So the credits through our Maryland Online Professional Learning System, you are able to log your activities, work towards badging, and we're going to be integrating that through it. And so there will be more information about that once you log in, but you know, going into that in depth is only going to be really applicable for the people who are going through it, so we'll go through once everybody is signed up for it. A couple other questions. Anybody can navigate and complete the modules no matter what their role is in a school, so this would be a great tool for people who are staff development teachers or giving feedback to teachers on a regular basis, especially if those are FAME teachers. How many people in a group? I would say at the very least 2, obviously, but that's really up to you and who would be interested at your school. You know, if you really want to focus on content, then that will be dependent. If you want to focus on process, then it obviously opens it up to a lot of different combinations. It is completely up to you. I would say at the least probably 4 or so. Any other questions before we wrap up? So this will be converted and it will be up on our YouTube channel. It will also go on the blog, so please feel free. Tomorrow I'll send out the link, and it takes a little bit of time to convert, even though this is a nice short webinar. So I will send that information to you tomorrow once it's recorded, and you can go ahead and share that with any of your colleagues that you think would be interested. I personally saw this as a natural progression in learning for FARROP, or for formative assessment for Maryland educators. What do we do next? Well, we really want to deepen our learning, deepen our understanding, and we can do that by observing each other and giving each other support and feedback, just as we expect our students to do for each other. So if there's no other questions, I will post this. Tomorrow I'll send you an email with all the information, and you are free to go ahead and sign up for the Schoology group and get started if you would like. Thank you. If you have any other questions, go ahead and send me an email. You already received an email from me to start with, so you probably have my information. And if you have any other questions, just give me a call or send me an email. Within the next few weeks, we'll be getting this going. We would love to have everybody in by the end of the month. Thank you for coming, and look forward to seeing you all participate in this year. I'm very excited.